Here's a skid with rocks on it from the property and a partial skid located in front. I just take it around with a skid loader and stack them up, and this is one way to make money on your property. The skid weighs about 2,000 pounds. It's usually about 20 inches high. This is sandstone. All right, here's some pallets of stone. I get the stone from my property, and this pallet is not wrapped, and I usually go about 20 inches high depending on the size of the pallet. All right, here we are in the woods, and I have rock piles on my property. These are small, typically don't use these. Some of the larger ones I could use on the pallet, but I'm blessed with rocks up here, and as you can see, there's tons of rocks piled up. Glacial movements, I assume. This is a nice rock here. Just unearthed that, no big deal. Especially around the trees, rocks pop up. But yeah, these are the rocks. I just pick them out. Usually I go through. Mini X would be great, but yeah, the skid loader. I think my property was bulldozed, and that's why all these rocks are pushed off to the side. And yeah, I think it was farmland at one time. All right, what started my venture with selling rocks was I cut in this driveway, and you can see all the rocks. Picked most of these rocks up. There are some up top, and yeah, it's like, well, I only want to do the action one time, and I might as well get paid for it, so let me palletize them and see if I can sell them. As you can see, this rock right here is decent. Yeah, and up top, a lot of overburden. Stacking it up, and then just started to palletize it. Selling the skids of rock. It helps the consumer as well, because it's less than a third of the price in many instances. So the rock isn't a landscape grade, I would say, because they use select rocks. Mine aren't cut or cracked to knock off some of the horns of the rock, but you can easily do that with a hammer if you need to at all. Sometimes you can get away with it depending on your project. All right, second source of income is firewood. Here's a stack of logs, IBC totes, skids. You can get skids free in my area anyways. We have a lot of warehouses, so and production facilities, I get skids all the time. I use some of the odd size skids for the rocks, just because I can put some of the medium sized rocks on there. Sometimes I'll sell basketball plus size rocks, and the smaller skids are fine for that. Some more IBC totes. Skid with some random firewood, and then these are some nice flat rocks that just keeping to the side, used for my projects. But as you can see, we just had some strong wind and got a lot of blowdown, so firewood is abundant. Got that going out this weekend. Here's some mixed hardwood that is just cut and split, seasoning. Here's some of my logs. I have a tarp up on this side. They're ready to be processed. All right. That's some of the junk wood end cuts that I will be using in my fireplace. And here's an IBC tote. And this one's pretty old, so it held up. You can see it's not cracked at the corners. Cut that a little bit too long. I use a 20-volt DeWalt circular saw. Just cut the top out of it. I should have rounded the corners out first with a drill bit, but I wasn't quite sure how This would hold up. This is my first one. This is a 330 gallon IBC tote, but I'm pretty happy with it. This just has some end cuts junk wood that I'll be using at my property. I won't sell that. Have some pallet skids for my ventures with firewood, palletizing firewood and rock. And that has rice coal in it. I have one of these bags that had pellets, and that way you can unravel it and scoop the rice coal out. So I thought about using the IBC tote, the bladder plastic tote, for coal, but to get it out, I mean, scoop it out halfway down. I'm 6'2", it's not too bad, but then the rest of the way is an event. All right, here's a pallet of oak firewood that's seasoned. I cut this on my property. This is a 48 by 40 traditional size skid, and it's a little over 38 inches high, which is about 1/3 of a cord. And I palletize these. I'll put a little bit more shrink wrap on it, but I can just set this pallet on back of a truck or a trailer and have minimal touch time on the firewood and send it off for a couple extra dollars. Another option of how to make your land work for you is I lease this field, and I have an adjacent field as well. This is leased to a farmer. He produces hay on this property. It's just orchard grass, which is naturally occurring grass. He does a little fertilization on the property, and he traditionally gets about 3 cuttings per year. You might be able to do 4 cuttings with proper farming techniques, but essentially I get paid for him to mow my grass. I also sell some raspberry bushes, blackberry bushes that are on my property. I grow some daisies and some other shrubs that grow easily in this area, like forsythia, and they grow like weeds, so it's super easy, and plants are pretty expensive, so that's one avenue to make a little bit of money as well. One thing I didn't do, I had a small group of people that flew RC aircraft, and they wanted to rent my property just because there aren't any obstructions in the area and other than the trees. So I didn't go for that just because I didn't want a lot of people up here, and some people just would randomly come up, and I just wanted a little bit of privacy, so didn't venture into that. However, if there is anything that you guys do, leave it in the comments. Thanks.